Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Brett McCollum, and I'm here today with Eddie Austin. And today we're going to be talking about making less mistakes. Guys, we could all make less mistakes. Before we do, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs to 2 to 5x their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted and allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. Without further ado, Eddie, how are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Absolutely great, man. It's a good day to do a podcast and just share knowledge and just help people make less mistakes because, man, lessons cost money and good lessons cost lots.
And we're gonna definitely deep dive this. I'm excited. It was really good catching up with you, man, and get to know you a little bit pre-show. Before we kind of get into it, because I want to talk, into depth about this. Let's give some history, some background, that sort of thing. Like, catch us up to speed, man. Who is Eddie Austin?
Yeah, man. So I'm originally a West Palm Beach, Florida boy. I was born there, and my family was pretty well from there, and I was raised in a household of entrepreneurs. So I've seen, a lot of lessons throughout my life growing up. And then, man, I decided to be homeschooled. Well, I didn't decide. My family had decided that it would be best if I was homeschooled because I just thought much differently. So I had some trouble in school. And from that, I just was always an out-of-the-box thinker. So my dad's like, you know what? My son would accelerate if he was in skilled trades. So I was about 12 years old. Went to Tennessee. My brother-in-law had a little welding shop, and I learned my first skilled trade at 12 years old. And that was how I was going to retire at, 40 years old. Because I don't know why, when I was running around, I was telling everybody like I wanted to retire by 40. And of course, they're like, everybody thinks I was nuts. But actually retired from corporate America at 36.
Wow.
And it wasn't without a lot of mistakes and a lot of learning lessons along the way. But I've always been tied to a real estate guy. My dad was a home builder. I started building homes with him at a young age and then progressed into fixing and flipping homes. And then throughout business, I started several businesses. At one time, my wife and I ran 8 companies.
Oh, wow.
And I learned a lot. I tell you that, not to brag. I tell you that because we learned a lot of lessons, hard lessons throughout that. We made a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't 7 streams of income that did it for us. It wasn't real estate that made us extremely wealthy. It was focusing on one stream of income until you could invest in the other things that made you income. And that was your second stream and third stream of income. It wasn't the 7 streams make you rich. It's not true.
Yeah, man, there's a lot to unpack, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's rewind back if we can. All right. So 12 years old.
Yep.
So my wife and we homeschool our children. So
Awesome.
Yeah. You're 12 at this point. I think probably based on kind of context of how you were, it was more of a something in school was just missing for you, it sounded like, in the traditional sense of school. Can you talk a little bit more, maybe, because I'm selfishly, I'm very curious.
Yeah.
What
So
does that mean?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
you have the traditional curriculum and the way that, you're supposed to be taught. So, the school system has a way that they teach you math, they teach you things. For me, I always thought much differently. And I had a very traumatic experience when I was a very young age, and probably some things got rewired a little bit, maybe. But I always thought with the end in mind. So, say you had a math problem, and there was a curriculum that we were supposed to follow to figure out what the answer to that problem was. I would just come up with a different way. I would still get the answer, but I came up with it a faster way. And I would look at the chalkboard and I would think, why are we taking all these steps? I could put this together and I can come up with the same answer.
Mm-hmm.
And, the teachers would,
Because that's
not
how we
recommend
do it,
that.
JW.
What's that?
They would say, because that's how we do it, JW. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Exactly. So, they wouldn't really condole that activity. They didn't necessarily like that. So I was in a lot of like counseling and stuff like that. And essentially at the end of the day, they're like, hey, my son can do the test and he comes up with it. And is he special? Maybe, but he's doing the same work. He's doing it quicker. He comes up with the answer. We're not seeing the problem here. And they're like, look, your son's just not teachable. He's just not able to be taught. He gets upset whenever he's challenged. And, that resonates into fighting and stuff like that. So, your son's just, even special education's not working. So I went into homeschool, and I love to be challenged. So I took 2 grades a year during high school, and I graduated 2 years early because I just wanted more. You just give me the biggest problem you got and let me solve it. And that's what I wanted to do. So I operate best when just everything's on top of me and I just sort my way through it.
Yeah. I think if like rewinding it back to that time, obviously adult version of Eddie is, looking at kid version of Eddie, right? I think we can look at it and go, probably what the issue is it's not that I'm not teachable. It's I'm not challenged.
Yes. Exactly.
And not being challenged felt frustrating. And
it was.
And I don't know you or anything, but I'm probably, my daughter is very, very much in that space of like, she's not like traditional school would be rough for her because she's 8 in high school reading stuff. It's like, it's just not challenged traditionally. And so I look at it and I'm like, man, when she's frustrated, it's because of, she's a kid. She's immature still. She hasn't developed those processing emotions of how to navigate that. And I'm frustrated because and you're telling me how to do something that I get it already. Why are you trying to do that? I don't need you. That's something that we're seeing, right. and raising our children today even, and I imagine that's probably what was going on back then.
Well, I think a lot of it too is not, so I was by no means a bully, but I took care of business. And, so I was the quiet one. I was always raised in a Christian household, and I was always taught, you're given two ears and one mouth. So listen twice as much more than you speak. Yeah. So I just listened, and I was just quiet, and I was the quiet one. And they always say, don't mess with the quiet one. Right. So Of course they do. They're like, Eddie's always, being talked to and being taught different ways, and they're always having to work with him.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
But it really come down to, when I was graded on a test, it was fine. But at the end of the day, is like if you had to do it exactly step by step by step, I was always a process improvement type person. And I just couldn't comprehend waste. Like, why would we take all the steps that we have to take? Why couldn't we just do this and think about the end in mind of that answer and come up with it that way?
Yeah.
And that's just not accepted.
And it isn't, right? Because, I think that's probably shaped a lot of into business, right? Of probably how you're able to do the things that you've done, go through the things that you've done is, I think about different business, thought leaders, the ones that are the most successful more than not are being challenged today because they look and operate differently. Mm-hmm. Because they're thinking about waste and they're thinking about why would we do this? Why would we do it this way? Let's challenge the norm. Well, this is how it's always done, Eddie. This is how business works, Eddie. You just don't get it.
Well, the thing is when I got into the business world, I was accepted, and actually, I was, I guess you might say, award winning when it come to the school of business, the game of business, because I thought outside the box. I thought untraditionally. I challenged myself beyond belief. And as I got older, and I love reading books, especially podcasts and audio books. And when you start reading about John D. Rockefeller and a lot of these guys that built America, they didn't even have a high school education.
Nope.
So it's okay, because they may have sucked at the math and the arithmetic and all the different things that they're supposed to do to be a part of this world and contribute. Mm-hmm. But they were much better at business because their mind thinks like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important to differentiate, those two things, and that's not to say, for whatever it's worth, that's not to say all schooling is bad or anything like that. That's not what I'm not promoting that whatsoever. Our conviction for our children is, my wife was a teacher in the school system for 10 years, mm-hmm. Before we brought the kids home, so for us, it's more of we want to be able to prioritize their education to grow them without limitation. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And for us, that's a conviction, but I also recognize that for some families, you've got, mommy and dad both have to work and you both have to do the things, and that's totally okay.
Of course.
Yeah. But I mean, if your kids are in that place of where they're like kind of struggling, I would say take a page out of Eddie's, book here and just go, okay, maybe it's not that they're struggling with school and it's traditional. So maybe it's they're trying to process their mind's working a little differently,
Another thing I would add is today it's a much different environment. You've got Facebook, Instagram, you've got people being compared to, this fake model online. And you have to think about the environment of the public school system today and the pressures that are silently put on children and others, even playing in sports. I played sports growing up. And today it is so much different from growing up as an 80s kid to, a 2015 kid now, 2013, 2011. You live in this world of social media where everybody's comparing themselves, and then people are scrolling, and, you can look at a kid today that just is engulfed by their phone of just scrolling and stuff like that. You can almost see anxiety on their face when they pick up and look at you and smile, if they do. And that's what's in school now today. And, So all the pressures of things going on, people videoing fights and all kinds of things. You have to question the environment. I think not only the kid, I think you have to question the environment.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, that honestly, that's part of one of our reasons too for bringing the kids home is we can control our home environment.
Right.
That's another reason. But man, I didn't want to get off on a huge tangent with that.
Sure.
I'm glad we did, because I think that's important for people listening that may resonate with, and if it doesn't, the principles of just knowing how people walk through. There's different paths that people take, But let's catch up a little bit to you've kind of been in the 20 plus years of doing business and entrepreneurship. And like you mentioned, serial entrepreneur to me when we were talking earlier, 8 different businesses, that sort of thing. When did you kind of really start? Like you said, you grew up in an entrepreneurial family anyway, but when was your first dip in the water from an entrepreneurial standpoint?
So, I was also kind of the entrepreneur. So there was a couple smaller businesses that I worked at that I got to have kind of my own role.
Okay.
And then I always quickly worked my way up to management. And any company I went to, it was kind of funny. One of the places I went while I was being interviewed, he said, Eddie, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years in the company? And, that's a question that as I would interview people, I often want to ask, does this person want to be an employee or a contributor? Do they want to, contribute to the company? Do they want to be a part of the management and stuff like that? Be a part of the change? And I said, well, I want to be where you're sitting. He said, so I'm the manager of this company. And I said, oh, that's good. And I said, that's where I want to go. And I said, I'll prove it to you. And, from that, I continued to realize that I wasn't a good employee because I wasn't always the one that could be a part of the decision making. Not that my decisions were always right. It's that I seen things differently. I seen things from an employee standpoint, a revenue standpoint. And I'm like, we could do so much things better because I always look at removing the waste and how to treat people, how they should be treated. So, I learned very quickly that if you want to change the world, if you want to row a different direction, you need a different boat than the one you're in. So maybe it's build your own boat and row your own direction, but you can't be inside of a company trying to run the show when they're trying to row their direction and you're trying to go your own. So it just doesn't work that way. So it was probably 2003 or 4, we started Austin Home Improvements, and we were building homes, we were fixing, flipping, and from that standpoint, we really found my parents had always made good money in real estate, and I started to catch on with that, and I'm like, hey, mom and dad buy this piece of property, they get the utilities onto it, they build a house, and then a couple years later we sell it. Well, at a young age, I was paying attention, but I really didn't understand what we were doing. But I knew we always had money, or at least we did by the time we sold that piece of property. And we just continued to do that. So I moved a lot when I was younger.
Right.
And then I started to catch on the business model. I was like, okay, so we can do this as business. We can actually take these properties, buy them, clear the trees, do whatever we got to do, build a home, put the utilities on it, keep it a little while and sell it. Well, we usually kept a little while because of capital gains, that 2-year hold. Well, what I did as I got older, I'm like, okay, well, how do I accelerate that? So there's a problem. How do I accelerate that? And accelerating that was by buying them in an LLC. And, you have to do 1031s when you get into bigger stuff, but you can also do it by flipping through an LLC and removing those taxes, just moving money through the LLC and buying more properties.
Yeah. And that's it. You're looking for there's the problem. What's the solution? And there's always one, right? Even if you don't know it, like offhand, there is still a solution. It's just, you haven't figured it out yet.
And to come back to the lesson of that really was by not knowing and doing 2 or 3 in 1 year, and then you sell one and then you sell the second one, and boom, you're smashed with taxes. And it's like, whoa, what happened? Well, you had already a capital gains event. So therefore your second one was 100% taxed as income because you probably took your profit, paid all cash, or financed it. It was all on the books. So that was a lesson learned. So, okay, well, how do I fix this?
Yeah. So we talked obviously at the top of the show of like making less mistakes, right? And I want to really kind of deep dive into that a little bit. Obviously, your journey through entrepreneurship and doing, part of multiple businesses. Let's maybe talk about it, like maybe a couple, I don't know if you have any off the top of your head, like top 2 or 3 lessons that, all right, because here's what I know about business, right? There's still people involved.
There is.
No matter what it is. So I think there's some overreaching principles that we must follow regardless of the industry that we're in. Obviously, this is a real estate heavy podcast. But let's talk about some lessons that we've learned over the years.
I think number 1 is this is a tough business, especially today. And you're going to go through a lot. You're going to change as a person. Like, one time my dad asked me a question. He goes, "Son, I just wish you wouldn't have to work so hard. Maybe you could win the lottery." And I said, no, I don't want to do that. And he goes, "Why not?" I said, well, the reason being is I'm not a millionaire and I don't know how to be a millionaire. I don't know how to protect that money. I don't know what to do with it. I think it'd bring me more problems than it would good. And I wouldn't know how to deal with them because I want to make $1 million with my hands. That way I know how to create that money. I know how to protect that money, grow that money. And ultimately, I have learned a lot of lessons along the way. So if I lose it, I know how to make it back. And I probably know how to make it faster. So in everything we do, you have to ask yourself first, like, what lessons has other people learned that I can apply to this? Everything in real estate, in my opinion, is risk mitigation. You're trying to remove the risk from it. By removing the risk takes education. When you first start, you don't have the amount of education you need. So you got to go out and learn it, the lesson of hard knocks. So that's why I say lessons cost money, good lessons cost lots. Because throughout those 8 different companies was because of a fictitious mountain I was trying to climb. I had no idea the amount of damage I was doing when I turned around and looked at the path of destruction to get there. And all the lessons that I was taking that were costing a lot of money. And I could have went so much faster if I could have said, okay, I want to climb this hill. I want to get to this 8 different companies, but what does that look like? And then start, whiteboarding that out and start figuring it out. Study. There's other people that's done this. So if there's other people that's done this, who do I need to talk to?
Right.
Who can I ask? How can I make less mistakes? Instead of just being bullish and I'm just going to figure it out, because that was always me. I'm just going to figure it out. Well, that's a life of hard lessons.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, man. That kind of rings home, right? For me personally, I've always been the same way. Like there's I'm just going to figure it out. I'm not going to ask. I was taught, work hard, put your head down, and you'll work through it.
Sure.
Just work hard, put your head down. Just work hard, put your head down. And on its face, that might sound good. But the better lesson that I've walked through is work hard, but ask if you need help, ask for it. Not do it for me. It's, Eddie, I'm doing this. Have you been through this before? Any lessons do you think I should apply? Versus, I'm not going to ask anybody. I'm going to figure it out.
Your net worth is in your network. And no more true words have ever been spoke. Because if you really lean in on that, you can go out and meet people, network with people that have done it or done it a little bit different, and they can tell you. And that's the best way, is to ask questions. If you want better answers, ask better questions.
Yep.
And if you want to remove the risk, ask a lot more questions. And just lean in on that. Who in the network has been there? Who has done it? And learn from that. Learn from their mistakes. And it's okay to fail. I always tell people, fail fast. That's why I went out and bumped my way through a lot of things, because I wanted to go out and fail a bunch. So I knew it didn't work. It's not that you failed. You found 1,000 things that didn't work because you did it this way.
Right.
So you know why it didn't work.
Yeah. I think for me, anyway, I'll say is it's pride at the end of the day. And that's a lesson. You don't, like, for me, I'm like, I didn't think I was prideful, Eddie. I didn't think I'm ever better than you or anything else. But when I'm not willing to raise my hand and ask for help, that's pride.
So let's pause for a second right there. And I want to give you probably the best lesson, the best teaching somebody could ever give to you is, you have to understand emotional attachment. You have to understand pride and ego. One of my absolute favorite quotes is by Rick Risby. Anesthesia is, pride is anesthesia that deadens the pain. We're going to come back to that. Mostly pride is a burden of a foolish man, and ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. And that in itself, when you think about that, is exactly what will get you in tons of trouble in real estate, in business, in partnerships. Because if you are doing things off of pride and ego, they will not work out well.
It will bite you.
There's a certain amount of pride. There's a certain amount of confidence you have to move forward with. But at the end of the day, you have to make fact-based decisions and not decisions based off of pride and ego. And I'm going to do this because you have to do this because of facts and not pride and ego and not emotional attachment.
Yeah. And that's the lesson, right? Because I know for me, personally, walking through that, it wasn't pride in the sense of like, I'm this great person and I have these things and I'm always right. But the lesson that was learned was pride is still in place when there's a struggle that's happening, and this is going to work out because it will. This is just going to work out. It has to work. It's going to work. This is going to work. I'm going to keep going the way I've been doing it because it always has worked out. It's going to keep working out.
Sure.
Instead of saying, you know what, I haven't faced this before. Let me go ask Eddie hey, have you been through this? What do you think? But it's hard. Well, yeah, it's hard and it's getting harder, but I'm going to keep working hard. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to work through this.
Yep.
In your head, you don't think this is pride. You don't think this is ego. You don't think that's it, because albeit it might come from a good place of, and I put that in quotations for if you're listening only, a good place of, I'm working hard and I'm doing the right things. But guys, if you're not asking for help, and I'm not asking for people for handouts, that's not what we mean. But We're talking for help to navigate into challenges that you're facing. If you don't ask for it, at the end of the day, that is pride. And like you said, that will come back and bite you.
Yep. I'm telling you, pride is the burden of a foolish man. It really reigns supreme, because I say that because I watched my kingdom crumble because it was built on a very shaky foundation of pride and ego and a lot of emotional attachment to a lot of things. And I wasn't willing to let go or operate differently because of the pride. This was mine. I built it, and it's not yours at the end of the day. It's not about ownership. It's about stewardship.
Stewardship. I love that. That's exactly right. Well, Eddie, you mentioned this too earlier. Is it's the average millionaire, 7 streams of income, da 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 da, and we've heard that before, right?
Yeah,
And I yes and no, right? Like
sure.
yeah, they might have it. I'm not saying they don't have that, but the path to that is not just get 7 businesses.
No,
So
not a
talk
bit.
about that for a minute. Yeah.
This is what everybody teaches. It's the millionaires have 7 streams of income. What they don't talk about, and you start to see more podcasts about talking through the grind, like when you started out, like Microsoft, like Amazon. How cool would it be if these people would have done a podcast, done an
Right.
autobiography, a documentary of the entire business? I mean, how many businesses do you think that Jeff Bezos owns today?
Hmm.
And you think about Elon Musk, he owns how many businesses today? What everybody sees Elon Musk for is Tesla and SpaceX and stuff like that. Nobody knows the original company that he founded with his friends and
Yeah.
sold. So that's what everybody either refuses not to listen to, or they simply miss that part, or people don't talk about it. All they
Hmm.
talk about is the 7 streams of income. Let's be honest, when it comes to mentorship and stuff like that, unfortunately, the truth don't sell. So they sell what is fancy and bright lights and keyed with music and everything else. So most of the time, if you tell people the truth is if you want to be in business, you're going to have to really fight through it. You're going to have to create one solid stream of income from a drip to a trickle to a stream of water into a fire hose of income, and then invest that fire hose of income for tax reasons into real estate, passive investments, and investing in other companies, invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds. That is your second and third and fourth stream of income.
Hmm.
But first, it was building that business to where it is profitable, or selling that business and doing the second business very, very well into a solid income stream. I
Yeah.
mean, I see so many people, and I coach a lot of people that they got 3 or 4 businesses running at the same time. My first question, do they complement each other? What
Hmm.
does that mean? If you're running this real estate business, is your HVAC company working directly for your apartment building? Is your plumbing company, is this part of the vertical? If you're doing construction management as a general contractor, does it complement the business you're in? That's a different story. But get really good at the thing you're doing, and then find other subsidiary businesses, symbiotic companies that can run underneath yours that complement the first business.
Yeah. I love that. And that's a huge value, guys, if you rewind and listen to that, because um, there's experience talking, right? So, it's not as simple as let me just start 7 businesses. It's
No, I
from the,
mean, I see people, they make, 200 or $300,000 in this business. This one's breaking even. This one's a tax shelter. This one's making $3 million. How much money could you make if you just focused on the one that was making $3 million and figure out how to scale it to $20 million and
right.
then sell it and build you
Yeah.
another one?
Yeah. We teach that in the investor world from a marketing standpoint. You see all these people throwing, they'll do direct mail and PPC and Facebook ads and cold calling and and like just trying to hopefully something will work, and it's the same principle of like pick one channel, dominate it, get your SOPs in place, make it profitable, then add the second channel.
Exactly.
Don't, so it's the same principle. But like I was saying this on another show that we were talking about, it's the same thing of like, business is easy, people are difficult. We're making this thing overcomplicated. We're doing these things. So, and there's a book that speaks to it too from Gary Keller, The One Thing, right? Do the one thing, there's a lot of symmetry in business principle, but listening to somebody like you, Eddie, you've been there, you've walked there, you've done it, you're coaching it, you're living it. And you guys, we're talking about pride again, going back to that, it's like, you've got people that are industry leaders telling you like, hey, don't do that.
Right.
Rewind this back and listen to that again, because there's a lot of us walking through stuff that you don't think you're walking with that, and we are. So like back to what we talked about at the top of the show, making less mistakes. I think that if we could put a new almost title on it, is let's get our pride in order.
That's it. I mean, that's it. I mean, you think about it. The people you look up to, they did one thing extremely well. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He had tons and tons of affiliate things that he did. But what was Michael Jordan good at? Playing basketball. And he honed that skill until he was the Hall of Fame. He's still remembered to this day, and still, I don't think that name will ever disappear. Michael Jordan. I mean, you think 100 other names, you think about those people, they were really good at one thing. That's another thing I always tell people is what is everybody, if you think about dominoes, think about the biggest domino in the room. I see everybody in life and in this world, they go around knocking down all the little dominoes. Stop doing that. Figure out how to knock down the biggest domino, and the shock of the biggest domino falling knocks down all the rest. Or use the little dominoes as a building block to knock down the big one. The momentum to get what it takes to knock down the big domino. Quit running around flipping 100 houses when you could just flip one big apartment building.
Yeah.
On a professional scale.
Yeah. Well, I always like to, ask people towards the end of our shows here, because this has been, and we could keep doing this. I love talking about it. It's like, but if people are wanting to reach out, connect with you, things that you're working on, that sort of thing, what's the best way for that to happen?
Hashtag Eddie Austin BEX. Type that in Google. Don't pay attention to the pixel that comes up. I don't know what that's about, but I'll come up on every single platform if you type in hashtag Eddie Austin BEX. Every single platform has the exact same profile picture, and it's Eddie Austin BEX on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, all of them, LinkedIn.
Very cool. Yeah, and we'll make sure that's in the show notes. And guys, Eddie's a leader worth following, so do not hesitate to do that, and that'll be in the show notes for us. But man, what are you excited about today? Like that you're working on anything cool that you're?
Yeah, man, we we think about mentorship much differently today, and I'm a philanthropist, so I love giving back. I love helping other people. Throughout this journey, the BEX at the back of my name stands for Be Extraordinary. And that was kind of when I kind of crushed the old pride and egotistic self and become the most extraordinary version of me. And I still strive to do that every single day. So everything I do is a reminder of that, to be extraordinary. And how do I be more extraordinary? And it's a measurement of my mood. It's a measurement of the amount of people I'm helping. And I've noticed when I'm low on energy, it's because when I think about how many people I helped this week, I haven't helped a lot of people. I've been probably in the weeds of business in meeting after meeting, and I'm not helping a lot of people. So that really drags the energy down. So the exciting part now is, we've created a game changer community to where we have a very low ticket. At this very moment, it's like $30 a month to join. And then we have mid, low, and high ticket. And even our highest ticket is like $25,000. Nothing like these bigger coaching programs. And we teach real operations. Like I want to physically teach somebody step by step the framework from start to finish. And then that's maybe the acquisition of the building. Then the real work starts. Taking that due diligence plan and actually bringing it to fruition. Taking that underwriting and turning it into the real business model. And there's a lot of stuff that you have to do, and you have to do it well. So you have to know operations, you have to know construction management, or you'll lose a lot of money in this game.
Agreed. Well, man, Eddie, this has been really good, and I'm glad you shared that. Guys, seriously, go in the show notes if you can't remember, but follow Eddie. Do that, connect with him. And I promise you won't be sorry you did. Like that's a no-brainer. $25. Come on, guys, whatever. Yeah, do it. But Eddie, man, this has been super cool getting to know you, man. I'm glad you shared your time and experience with us, and I really appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Cool. Well, guys, this has been a great episode, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.